To today's discussion on what ails the Grinch. So, whatever rendition anyone may have watched, where would you like to start? What did you observe?
The Grinch. So
What's going on?
he's very isolated. Angry with the world.
Yes.
Always.
Bullied as a child. He was abandoned. So he has some abandonment issues.
Probably attachment issues.
Attachment issues.
Okay.
It seems like he wants to be included, but because of his abandonment, he kind of is in denial about it.
Mhm.
He just pretends that he doesn't want to be.
You're in camera. That's right. It's perfect, though. I think we should make you a star. No? No.
He's very angry all the time.
Mm-hmm. Can we say as an irritable affect? Would be okay with that? Okay.
Underlying signs of depression, I would say.
How so?
Just by the fact that he is very alone and he just seems sad.
Alone. Abandoned. Okay.
He also seems to kind of like avoid vulnerability, which I feel like is kind of like his own way of protecting himself because of like his experience with abandonment issues and bullying and kind of just being made as an outsider.
Given that observation, let's actually look at that first. The avoiding of vulnerability. What are some questions we'd ask to our patient, or would ask of our patient, and what are we thinking?
The whole time I was watching the movie, I was wondering if it was like antisocial versus like avoidant personality disorder. So I'd probably ask like, because with avoidant, it's not that they're socially isolated because they want to be, it's because it gives them anxiety. So I'd probably dig deeper into like the personal traumas and find out what is the reason for kind of being avoidant of the community. Like, is it coming from anxiety and fear of like rejection, I guess?
Yeah. I don't think we'd be able to dismiss that a cardinal trait of the Grinch is the violation of others' rights, right? So it's hard to dismiss the cardinal feature of antisocial personality, but and then especially in the full-length version, we have evidence of his childhood, and there really isn't any evidence of conduct disorder. So in refocusing towards avoidant personality or avoidant personality traits, what is consistent with that? And again, what is some information provided in the movie and or information we would try to glean from a patient interview?
About him?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
In focusing on avoidant personality, what else would we like to know?
If he is interested in having like relationships versus not being interested in relationships, what is his degree of anxiety and social engagement, his esteem, self-esteem.
And given what we do know, what is our anticipated reply?
That he wants relationships.
Yeah. Right. So why is he isolating?
Because this is trauma.
He's being forced to.
In which way?
Fear of rejection.
Right. Right. And then if we were to then to either engage in psychotherapy or refer to psychotherapy, what's something we would address here? What do we think is the mechanism of all of this?
He just needs someone to be there and listen.
Do you mean
Or he needs.
No, what do we think is the mechanism to cause all of this? And therefore
His
what?
trauma response
Well-
that he's had from his childhood.
Okay, I can't dismiss that, but more specifically. What form of learning took place?
Learned helplessness.
That might be part of it,
He's avoiding, so it's like operant conditioning.
right? Okay, so getting into operant conditioning is exactly what happened here. What are the 4 different things we have to consider here with regard to learning by consequences? And I'm going to ask anyone but the psychology intern to answer. She's not going to bail you out on this.
Like positive, negative punishment or reward? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like if you're adding something, it's a positive, defined as positive, negative taking away. If it's a reward, positive reward, you're adding something to increase behavior.
Mhm.
If it's a negative reward, you're taking away to increase behavior.
Mhm.
If it's punishment, positive punishment, you're adding something not pleasant to have, like a pinch or,
Mhm.
I don't know, a terrible sound. And if it's negative punishment, then you're taking away something that they like.
Okay. If we're focusing on the Grinch's isolating behavior, was that strengthened or weakened?
It's strengthened.
Strengthened. So do we think we're working with regard to rewards or punishments?
Reward.
Rewards? Okay, we okay with that? Anybody here have a different answer? To strengthen this behavior with regard to the awards provided, was something added or removed? Removed, right? I mean, he avoided, and in terms of isolating behavior, what was removed to strengthen that behavior?
Social interaction.
More specifically, I think you said it before.
Oh, rejection.
Yeah. Right. So, what is the form of operant conditioning that was in play to help us understand the Grinch's isolating behavior? Negative reinforcement. Right. We're okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any questions about that? We right? Okay. Perfect. Right. Negative reinforcement. Right. The Grinch, the story of the Grinch, and especially his existence on Mount Crumpet, is analogous or at least representative of operant conditioning in general and negative reinforcement. If you're going to engage the Grinch in therapy, you're going to have to look at that. You cannot possibly dismiss that in terms of how not only biopsychosocially, but a primary focus on the psychology or the psychological part of that biopsychosocial, those biopsychosocial factors in impacting the Grinch's isolating behavior, how to engage. Unfortunately, there's no medication, to treat of negative reinforcing principles. Right, so, what are the questions that we have with regard to the isolating behavior only? We okay in calling either avoidant personality traits that are maladaptive, if not full-blown avoidant personality disorder? Right?
He does have borderline tendencies. Like
How so?
All or none thinking. He thinks everyone in Whoville's, before he meets Cindy Lou Who and his world opens up to love, but he has everyone in Whoville's terrible. He's impulsive, stealing the Christmas tree. He has externalization of responsibility. Everything that is always everyone else's problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't have, I wouldn't say enough to call the personality disorder, just because I don't think there's enough evidence to claim that. I don't see, I don't know, the all or nothing splitting kind of behavior,
Mm-hmm.
but
So some traits.
he's able to overcome it throughout the movie, so.
Rather quickly,
Yeah.
which is inconsistent with actually being an established personality disorder.
Yeah.
We'll probably get back to the rapidity with which he overcomes the symptoms, right? But certainly borderline traits, I'm okay with that. And then to that end, I think that the Grinch as a character might sit nicely in a winter curriculum to teach the cluster B personalities. I don't know if he's histrionic, though.
Yeah.
It's the only thing missing. So if we would rewrite maybe the sequel, I'd need a little bit more histrionic traits to allow for that curriculum to float. But again, blatant disregard for and violation of others' rights, definitely there. Quote-unquote borderline tendencies. There are some aspects of borderline personality traits. I don't think he reaches 5 threshold with regard to the actual diagnosing of the disorder itself. But Again, narcissism, histrionic, but a little bit tougher on those ends. Other thoughts about the Grinch?
When he was like flying on like that sleigh thing that he was using, he was really scared. He was saying like, "Oh, mommy," like. So I feel like maybe he's still stuck in that like childhood state because he didn't have time to like properly develop with that rejection.
Yeah, rejection, abandonment,
Yeah.
bullying.
Would you say he has PTSD as well?
It's hard not to dismiss. I mean, it's hard not to say that. It'd be hard to dismiss that, especially if we want to really focus on some of the borderline traits. Why would somebody have borderline traits but maybe miss out on being diagnosed with borderline? And one question would be, well, maybe there's a comorbidity that also incorporates borderline tendencies or traits. And we would start with post-traumatic stress disorder, especially given this character's trauma or traumatic past, right?
I think it was very important that it was Cindy Lou Who, because if everything began from when he was such a young child and just her like innocence and her childhood, I feel like out of anybody else, only someone like her could have, technically cured him or like brought him out of it.
I feel like that kind of helps heal his inner child. Like if he had like someone like her when he was like that age, like it kind of like is comforting.
Yeah.
I think it reminded him of the childhood he could have had if he had a better family or more involved family.
Could somebody, and this is just, really spitballing here, could somebody look up the poem and tell me the last word? I'm probably not remembering this correctly.
Look up what?
The last word. You could actually say the entire last sentence.
Oh, of the movie.
Poem? It might be the movie too.
I feel like it's hard.
It says Christmas.
I'm wrong across the board.
I have it, palm up.
So what's the last sentence?
The last verse.
Yeah.
Charge once more, then be dumb. Let the victors, when they come, when the force of the holy wall, find the body by the wall.
I was way off base. That's the story of How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
It's called The Last Word by Matthew Arnold.
How about this? Somebody,
It says there's a different one over here.
I know there's 101 versions, but I'm going to get this right.
The last on this one it says the last line is, and he himself the Grinch carved the roast beef.
That's the one I was thinking of. All right. All right. So, sorry about that, guys. So the last word is?
Beast.
Okay. That's what I had thought it was, because I was going to get to my teaching point. In bringing up what everyone just said in the role of Cindy Lou Who, have you ever saw that before? Somebody with past trauma, right? We're saying develops a condition that has, as a cardinal sign, the blatant disregard for and violation of others' rights, but is tamed at the end by the one person that he looked to victimize, but realizes that she has a shared history. There's a connection made.
Is it split and split?
Yeah. Yeah. And what's the protagonist at the very end? What's the actual 24th altar? Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. So, I'm not saying that the Grinch has DID, right? But we mentioned borderline traits. There's clear trauma, especially in the feature length version. So you'd have to consider post-traumatic stress, and then along those lines, we know that in clinical practice, we look at not one but 4 conditions along a continuum, where post-traumatic stress does relate to borderline personality as well as eating disorder, specifically anorexia, as well as DID. Right, so something to consider. But I'm falling significantly short of saying that the Grinch has DID. Right. All right. What else about our antagonist turned protagonist?
I think that he also has very odd or eccentric behaviors because I think he ate glass at one point. He kind of did some odd things.
Yeah, yeah. It's again, anytime you use the E word, I'm going to think schizotypal personality. It's just very difficult, and this goes for borderline as well as antisocial too. It's very difficult to diagnose a personality disorder in the setting of an active and mental disorder like depression. Again, given that, or even anxiety disorder like post-traumatic stress disorder. So in clinical practice, we could have a clinical suspicion. I think in the medical record documentation, you'd see that word defer, just like we actually post in Gathic Med. And only after we actively or successfully treat the primary condition, whether it's PTSD, whether it's a major depressive disorder, do we go back and reevaluate? And if those traits persist, then we can say, well, maybe there is something co-occurring or comorbid going on. And within the differential, we'd have to consider a personality disorder. But in clinical practice, that's the way we would proceed.
For personality disorder, wasn't it that the personality traits are present in every situation, like not just in school or work, but like everywhere? But his personality traits kind of like, quote unquote, they change, right? Or his heart grows and he changes when he meets Cindy Lou Who. So you would have to cancel out a personality disorder then, right?
The ending of this poem versus story versus movie, the ending's the same. And the rapidity of response, yes, does significantly weigh against a primary personality disorder. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming that the outcome is sustained, right? We may just quote him on a good day. It does actually bring up the idea. Is there any evidence that it is sustained? And why or why not?
No, his heart grows 3 times.
It does.
So he's now nice.
At least at the end of the movie or the end of the story. Further evidence that it's sustained. Anybody have any idea about the chronicity of the Grinch's condition? When was the story first published?
Yeah.
1957?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So it's getting there.
He's old now.
Yeah. I mean, this is a chronic condition, isn't it? How would you describe this condition in terms of pattern, in terms of the duration?
I honestly think I think that at the end it would have changed just because it seems very, don't know how to put this in words, but he just seems very misunderstood. Mm-hmm. It's because of his family leaving him behind and everything. That's why I said he was forced to basically hate the world, because he was put into that certain situation where he was brainwashed into thinking that the Who Will people sucked. Mm-hmm. Or like they were just like terrible people. But then once Cindy Lou Who like she sparked that like kindness and everything in him, I feel like that was what he needed this whole time. Now that he's gotten that, I feel like that shows his true potential for who he truly was. It was just these bad like scenarios that made him who he was. Because if you see him with his dog Max, he has that love and he has that compassion. Like he wants a relationship with people. He just wasn't given that because he was so misunderstood and he was villainized. But now that he's got that, I feel like his like that love and care that he so deeply wanted from his parents or whoever, now that he has that from a child, like I think that his inner child was more like awakened, and that's how I feel like it would have continued, because he would not risk losing that and going back into that pit of darkness.
When anytime somebody has a response to therapy, medication, a combination, one of the questions that is going to come up, patient, family, or otherwise, is sustainability. And in that conversation, the practitioner will always talk about risk factors and protective factors and the likelihood of sustained response. And that's going to be center for the discussion as soon as we see the resolution of these symptoms at the end of the story. However, unfortunately, a year from now, it's going to recur. Right? December 1st hits every calendar year, and once again, the Grinch starts out grumpy. So if we take a step back and look at the Grinch's condition, maybe it's me, but between January 1 and November 30, I don't ever hear of this guy. So it's reason to assume that it's sustained up until the next December when it recurs again. How would you describe the Grinch's condition? Right? We'd see some pattern develop here. I mean, this has been going on for almost 75 years. You can't tell me he's cured. Right? 75 years is a long time to struggle with a health condition, including any mental health condition. All right, so it's something to keep in the back of our minds. It is a little bit of a unique perspective in how we look at the Grinch and what ails the Grinch, but we have to take that into consideration. This is a chronic condition with relapses and remissions, and he seems to relapse every December 1st. Right? Hulu says so. Netflix says so.
That's if you see it every single time. But if you take it as a story that happened once,
Everybody in this room should see it every single time, though. Who's not watching the
there's no
Grinch
real
every
proof
single?
that he does it every single
If I did a
year.
survey, the 100% response rate that you will watch the Grinch every single time. Right. It is a different perspective of this. We'd have to consider chronic depression here, otherwise known as persisting depressive disorder, formerly known as the thymic disorder. Now, the other part of this too is that there's a seasonal pattern. I mean, just like major depressive disorder with seasonal pattern that's published in the DSM-5, this condition tends to recur during the winter months and remit during the spring and summer. So again, we thank Dr. Seuss for that, but that's actually the way this character's symptoms relapse and remit.
So he needs light therapy.
He would benefit from light therapy. Yeah, I don't think he's getting enough light in Mount Crumpet, right? I mean, when you spend your time in a cave, right? Yeah.
Do you
Kind of wondering, like, maybe, I don't know if this is like kind of a Grinch, but I feel like I was kind of wondering maybe if he has like covert narcissism or something, just because it's like he wants to ruin Christmas for everyone else, right? And it's like, I feel like his mindset is kind of like, oh, I went through all these hard things in my life, therefore everyone else like can't be happy. So I was kind of wondering if like there's something along those lines, or maybe he's just kind of like depressed and just like I don't know. I kind of want to understand like maybe the distinction between like I'm just depressed and sad versus like I'm trying to like purposely make everyone feel my pain, you know?
Yep. I don't disagree. I think, again, as a clinician, you first address the depression and anxiety, and you look for specific outcomes. And if you reach those outcomes, then go back and reevaluate. If you see the persistence of those personality traits, those maladaptive personality traits, at that time you could begin to form a differential diagnosis as to a potential personality disorder. So I would definitely consider that. If after weeks to months of the Grinch otherwise being asymptomatic, so let's say we catch him in February, but those personality traits persist, then the reevaluation, and if so, he even, I think, shapes up even more, given what you just said, to look like Kevin Crumb. I mean, he really does. I mean, this idea of I've been traumatized, and I'm going to actually, through almost a delusional precept, create harm and damage others, so that we could be at the same playing field. That's M. Night Shyamalan's character.
Do you think the heart growing 3 times has anything psychologically doing? Or is it just that he's nice now?
No, I think if I could guess as to the author, I think it's a Christmas miracle. I think it's being nice. I don't think there's any doubt about that. However, if you're going to force me to view this through a psychiatrist lens, which of course requires no effort whatsoever, no, I think there's something significant there. So anybody have any thoughts? I'm going to take your question and then ping pong it to everybody. What is the significance of the heart growing?
Underlying cardiomyopathy.
Yeah, this is Takotsubo, cardiomyopathy. That's what this is, right?
No, I was right. I was making a joke.
No, you nailed it. What is Takotsubo cardiomyopathy? What form of first of all, cardiomyopathy is a dilation of the heart, and therefore dysfunction that follows, congestive heart failure that follows as due to that dilation. Right? There's a little bit more to it than that, but I think for psychiatry, third-year clerks and undergraduate students, I think that suffices.
What is that caused by?
What is it caused by? It's good. It's a great question. Let me ask that.
Stress or like usually it's a romantic or love connection that you have, and it causes so much stress to the body that they actually can cause physiological changes.
Like heartbreak?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a literal sense.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's real.
It is real. It's in the medical literature. It's in the cardiology literature, and it's in the children's literature as well, because it's exactly what ails the Grinch. Right?
But his heart didn't break. It fixed.
Well, when you treat the depression, the congestive heart failure resolves. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I wouldn't take the growing of the heart to be literal, because the dilated cardiomyopathy, the Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, the heart size actually does increase because it dilates. The function decreases. I take the heart growing 3 sizes as a metaphor for its function. Its ejection fraction increases back to normal. Right, 3 sizes. Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. We actually, in the beginning of the poem, the story, there were some ideas as to behind why he was so Grinchy. Anybody remember some of those ideas that were posed by Boris Karloff?
Because there's noise.
It's literally written in the story. There's actually 2 that are significant.
His head was, may have been that his heart was
Two sizes too small.
Okay, that's where it starts, right? That's the ejection fraction. So that, again, supports this idea that there's a cardiomyopathy. Specifically congestive heart failure due to cardiomyopathy.
He was ignored. He landed in Nebraska and then there was a party going on and he was ignored during that party.
No.
So is that a substance induced?
No, I mean, always needs to be considered. But focusing less on the movie and more on the actual story, the actual children's tale. There's 2 other pieces of evidence there that we probably shouldn't ignore.
It says, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason.
That's what psychiatry always struggles with, right?
It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right.
So that's number 1. Right? I wouldn't necessarily use those words, but certainly there is a mental disorder here, and we've already uncovered what that is. And there's one more thing I think pitched.
shoes were too tight?
Yeah, with congestive heart failure, you have lower extremity edema. People's shoes will be too tight. Yeah. So it does fit.
Is it because your feet swell up?
Yeah. Edema is just another fancy word for
Oh.
swelling. Yeah. Other characters. Now that we've cured the Grinch, at least for this season. What's going on with Cindy Lou?
Okay. I know we're not child and adolescent, but when I was watching it, I was like, it is kind of weird that she's so willing to not be scared by the Grinch. So I was like, is it the disinhibited social engagement disorder type of situation? We don't have any evidence of a trauma for her, but I would argue that her parents, until the end of the movie, seemed so focused on Christmas, that they weren't paying a lot of attention to her. So maybe it was kind of an emotional abuse in that sort of way.
The diagnosis fits, and the DSM. Again, this is a new condition published in 2013 with the revision to the DSM-5. Do they use the word improper parenting? I forgot the actual word they used, the authors used, but it's the parenting that is thought to be the underlying cause. We can always blame the parents. And yeah, obviously we don't know anything about this in the story itself. We have to refer to the feature-length movie. These are parents that are very hyper-focused on what's going on around them, and perhaps to the detriment of their children. We don't know that, but I think as a clinician, we wouldn't simply dismiss it. We'd have to inquire. Yeah, disinhibited social engagement disorder. Other thoughts? Anybody else? We're at the bottom of the hour, so any closing thoughts?
I don't really see anything wrong with her. She just seems like a normal child. She does have a lot of like, I wouldn't say magical thing, but she's just very like innocent and childlike. I really don't think that there was much with her.
How old is she?
6, 5.
5 or 6.
5. When do children usually develop social anxiety as a normal developmental?
6 after 6.
Yeah.
For sure.
Isn't it like it's at like 8 months, right?
18.
18 months.
Yeah, it peaks at 18 months. Yeah. So I don't know. I think the first question, and again, not a child psychiatrist, but the first question would be only now, or is this demonstrative of a pattern of behavior? Because if it's the former, not that big of a deal. But if it's the latter, if it's just a pattern that's been established, it does warrant further investigation. Okay, we'll leave it there.